Now, some people were in Charlotte yesterday. I know they're not going to ask me more questions. And I know they're not going to ask me about last year again.
Well, I won't ask you about last year. I'll ask you about this year. What do you expect out of this team, and what kind of a team? Do you have any idea? I mean, it's early. Kind of the team and what mold that they'll fit in. Will they run, rebound? They do the things that you want them to do.
Great question. For me, from the start of this, from the summer to now, I've been trying to get them to understand sort of my vision for the way that I want to play. And it's not centered around me, it's centered around them. So we have a bunch of players, right? So easily we could have 10, 11 guys that conceivably could be starting or playing. So with that being said, when you have that many guys, you have to dominate the defensive end of the floor. You cannot let teams control the game. And that takes focus and discipline, and I use this word often, desperateness. So defensively, we have to be a team that takes stuff away from offenses. Offensively, we got to be a team that's attacking, that's playing with freedom, that's playing fast, which at times is hard because I'm asking them, and you can see when you watch, the red-white game and the Simmons game, at times they look like they're overpassing. I'm good with that because I'm imagining that we're playing Carolina, Duke, Clemson, really good teams, Pittsburgh, all these really good teams that are really good. You're not going to be able to make one pass and get up a shot. You're not going to be able to run down the court and nobody else touch the ball and get a shot. They're going to be good defensive teams that's going to force you to move the ball, and so that's sort of why I like the fact that they're trying to make extra passes to each other.
Kenny, you've mentioned a few times this preseason that you want this team to not forget what happened last season. I'm curious, how does a dynamic like that work when you have a team that's mostly newcomers?
The dynamic is we put it on the table, which we've done from day one that they walked in here. We shown film of last year. Um, I watch film constantly of last year to see what we did good and what we did bad. And that's not centered around wins and losses. That it's more centered around what type of stuff did we run that caused people problems. And I want those guys to see it. I want them to understand that this fan base is going to be with you when you're winning. They're going to be with you. So don't look at some of the negative stuff and think that they automatically assume that we're not any good. Understand, just like football, when this is good, they're going to come and support you. That's what the history of this program has been. And so getting them to understand some of this is just what happened over the course of the last few years. There's a frustration. Now it's time for us, this group, to fix it. And it's the first step. A lot of the things when I walked in the door, we inherited. Some of those guys that we inherited are gone. The mentality is gone. Now we're just starting a new culture.
Kenny, you've mentioned so much about the defensive side of the ball. Young kids, they really kind of want to focus on offense. How has this group bought into defense early on?
You see it in spurts. You see that we can pick up full court in spurts. You see it. We haven't got consistent at it, and I don't want us to be consistent at it right now. We're learning about each other. We're learning the importance of playing defense. And as we watch games, and as we play games and watch the film of it, we'll understand why we're doing what we're doing. Keeping the ball in front. There was lessons in that from the Simmons game. So I'm working on this drill for 3 or 4 days about keeping the ball in front, called a retreat drill. Well, Tylor is constantly trying to get a steal like he's in high school. He doesn't know yet. He's going to learn the discipline of having active hands and keeping the ball in front and retreating with his hip square. Once we learn that and get it and it becomes second nature, we're going to be a really good defensive team because we have length, we have shot blocking, and we can play all over the perimeter.
Kenny, when you look at last season, and not even necessarily what happened on the court, but off the court for you, you've been in the game a long time, but being a head coach is different. The responsibilities are different. The day-to-day is different. How are you different going into year two than what did you learn from that experience last year?
I learned that the people that are with you are going to be with you. The people that aren't, don't worry about them. My job, the main thing I take away from it is I had an obligation to the young people, whether I recruited them or brought them in or not, to love them, to be good to them, to not take my frustrations out on them, and I didn't. I treated every kid with respect. I disciplined them. I wasn't happy at all times with them. So I take that away knowing that I did right by them, which helps me sleep at night because that's somebody's child. And if any of us in this room have ever been mothers or fathers, I hope that we would understand that what it feels like for your child to be hurting, for your child to not have success, your child to have doubt, your child to not believe in something. Well, my job is to make sure that I inspire your child. I do right by your child. Doesn't mean we win or lose games, but it means I discipline you to do right. And that's what I feel good about.
Coach, I have a question for you. Following up from last year, and you said there were so many players who left, and you brought in a lot of new ones. How do you get them to all integrate now, work together? Do you see bonds forming between certain players? How do you get them to work together and depend on each other?
I think the great thing about the group that we brought in, it was talked about in the recruiting process. It's not a choice on how you're going to carry yourself, how you're going to feel about your teammates. It's not. If you think it's a choice and you have days or moments where you don't want to be about team, you don't want to be in the group, then I got to put you on, I call it putting you on ice. So you're in the refrigerator, you're on ice. And the other guys will keep growing. I believe in that. I can't let one player, two players, no matter how good they are, I can't let them bring down the group. They could be starters. It could be my best player. It could be my worst player. I don't care. I know that I can't let the group suffer. And so I try to do a good job of being honest with them. And I think that's how, just being honest and real, I think they earn respect for you for doing that.
As you look at your team offensively, what do you think the strength will be on the block, beating people off the dribble, shooting the ball from the perimeter? What are you most encouraged by, and what concerns you?
It's hard to say because in the drills and in the practices, we shoot the ball really well. We shoot the three well, but I also have wings and guards that can post up to go along with a 7'1" kid, and Brandon, who, when he's right, he's a force in the paint. So we look like we're versatile in that we can score everywhere, but I got to see it against elite competition. And until we play elite competition or good competition, then we'll find out then.
We talk a lot about the group you brought in, but to get to the point where you had that group together, how difficult was it, the ups and the downs of the offseason, because you were in on other guys? Other guys may have wanted to come that you didn't feel like fit the thing. How difficult for you was it to put this group together?
Great question. It was hard to put this group together coming off what we came off of. I don't think it gets talked about a lot for whatever reason. Doesn't matter why it doesn't get talked about. To win 4 games and to go out and get people to believe in what you're doing and to be a part of it is difficult. It's difficult. But it also goes to show that by being honest, by being genuine, by putting young people first, they will buy in. They will come and be a part of what you're doing once they see it. Louisville is a great place to play college basketball, a great city, a great community for basketball, but it also it's a place where you've got to be committed to basketball. And when you're not committed to basketball, you're going to hear about it, which is normal. That's the way it should be. That's what makes this a great state. It's a basketball place and not that it's not football, but it's a great state where basketball, the history of basketball in this state has been unbelievable.
Hey
Kenny,
Kenny, when I was talking with Mike and JJ yesterday, they mentioned Sky and Trey as being two of the guys who have been, very vocal leaders on this team so far. What about them as people makes that process easier when you come in from new teams and then you're now taking on the vocal role to try to push others to get better?
I think for those two in particular, I think being in those roles where they may or not have been happy at times helped them. The experience of being in college helped them. And I think they bring that to the table, which makes us better. They both have a quality that I look for in players. They're givers. So some people recruit based off of can he shoot, can he rebound, what is his numbers, what is his analytics. I need guys that are givers. I need spirit children who have a spirit about them that everything about them and around them lifts up the room, lifts up a team. I need guys that are more concerned with their play in conjunction with the team than themselves individually. I think these two kids fit that. They're givers.
Kenny, you've talked about the eye test a lot with this group when it comes to fans watching the product. I'm curious if they apply that to watching you coach, the game plan, the approach, what do you think they'll notice about your growth in year two?
I hope I'm a little more positive. I hope that, my body language can be better. It was torture at times to go through that. It was hard. I never lost like that before. But it also, I learned from it. I learned that I can't take it personal. It wasn't about me. Now, some people will say it's about you, but it's not. It was never about me. When I took this job, I told this community, this city, this state, I need everybody. Well, some people decided I was making it up, and they jumped off. I didn't need them anymore. So for me, I think that what I want to do is be able to have fun with kids, have fun winning, have fun dominating with kids. I tease them sometimes and say, listen, I'm the coach that wants to be able to talk trash with you to the opponent. I want to be that kind of coach. Let's laugh and joke and running by the sideline and me tell them, yo, we about to score on you right here. I'm that kind of coach. That's what I want to do. And hopefully they can help me do that.
Kenny, going back to the versatility bit, how much do you think this team has improved in that department compared to last year's team on either end of the court?
I just think that, we have a different group. We have a different chemistry. We have a different basketball team. We have guys that are in the gym. We have guys that I purposely make things hard so that I can see personalities, I can see character, and then I can see lack of character. When I make things hard, I see them huddling up, saying, okay, let's huddle up. He's going to run us again now. Like, please, guys, let's make sure we focus. Let's make sure we have great energy. That's a sign for me. At times in the past, it's been more splintered. You hear arguments. Those days are gone. Nobody's really arguing like that. So that gives me hope that we are coming together, we're learning about each other, and when things get hard, they gravitate to each other.
Kenny, maybe as a follow-up, for you now as a coach, since last year kind of was the group you said you inherited, and you might have had to accept a few things. For this group, now that you have the group that you want, what are some things that now you say you won't accept it if you see it out in practice or during the game?
My pet peeves are confidence. Another one is conditioning. And then the third one is sharing. Those are three things when I look at the team, I got to see it every day. So when you shoot a basketball, I don't want you to shoot shots that you can look at the kid and know he doesn't believe it's going in. Because if he don't believe it's going in, you know what it's doing to me, and I know what it's doing to you. I don't want to see players on their knees, like showing that they're winded, that they're tired. We work too hard for that. In our practices, it's intense, it's long, it's hard. I want to be the coach that people say, like a bunch of NBA people have came into our practices thus far. They never came last year. They're coming. So you're being evaluated. And one of the greatest things about it is they're walking away saying, you will be a disciplined team, you're demanding a coach, and you will be a well-conditioned team, maybe the most conditioned team in the country. I take pride in that. So those are things that I look for and I hope that we can build on.
Kenny, what is it like being a basketball coach in kind of a football world, given that most of the moves being made right now in college athletics are driven by football?
I haven't thought about it like that, to be honest with you. I try to stay in my world, focus on my world, because this is too hard to get sidetracked and caught up in the other stuff. I have a really hard job, and that hard job is requiring me to really change the culture of this brand and bring back the history of what made Louisville great. If I get sidetracked with all the other stuff that's going on, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do it. It's too hard.
Kenny, talking about last season, a lot of people have focused on what's happened last year and just having the opportunity to turn a page. Is this almost kind of a fresh slate for you, a clean slate, or do you feel pressure going into this year trying to avoid what happened last year?
I don't feel pressure. I feel like when you look at it genuinely, honestly, it's the first step. The first step. This was broken, right? It was broken on a lot of different fronts. So to watch it, see it, evaluate it, figure out how do you fix this, how do you change this, has been hard. So I feel like we've taken a major step in the right direction. I want people to watch us and say, it looks different. That's why I keep talking about the eye test. It feels different. The energy's different. And then people will understand that we're headed in the right direction.
Kenny, what do you need to get?
You've been waiting for a minute to get to me.
What do you need to get out of Brandon for this team to be as good? I mean, do you agree that sometimes it looks like he doesn't affect the game when he's out there, but he clearly, you have confidence in him that he should be that player. And have you seen it in practice? I mean, have you seen demonstrated performance that he can do that?
I'm hoping that he can do that. I push him to do that. I challenge him to do that. I'm not giving up on him. I'm actually going to tighten up on him because I need Brandon to be a force. I need Brandon Hatfield to be a force. Sometimes Brandon thinks I can be something else because there are so many people in these kids' ear. Maybe you can be a small forward. Maybe you can be this. Maybe you can be that. Brandon Hatfield has been told by me, you have to be an elite rebounder. I need to be able to switch 1 through 5 if you're playing the 5, 1 through 4 if you're playing the 4. And there should be no different than a point guard guarding him and you guarding him. You have to move your feet. You have to be an excellent screener. Excellent. Your body probably requires you, and it looks like at 245 pounds, that you should get people open at all times. I need you to do that. I need you to make free throws, and I need you to finish around the basket. And I need you to be a giver. I need you to get out of, I got to do this for you, and think more about, I'm going to do this for us. Those things do it for us. And watch what happens to your teammates and what happens to your team.
Kenny, before the Simmons exhibition game, you kind of talked about, hey, you're trying a lot of different lineups to see, what works and what doesn't work. Coming into this last exhibition game, are you still in that mode, or are you starting to figure some things out?
We will see. We will see. I know people want to figure out who I'm starting, what I'm starting, how I'm doing. Listen, I said it. In order for us to change from last year, I had to bring in a lot of guys. What does it look like if I only focus on certain guys and I leave 5 or 6 back? What does that look like to them? So people may question. People may question from within. I can't worry about that. I got to find out who's going to help us, who can start, who can come off the bench. Is it 8 guys? Is it 9 guys? Can it be 10 guys? They determine that, and then I evaluate that. So in order to do that, I got to put them in situations where, look, I started 1-5, then I start another 5. Let's see what you do. And then I evaluate what you do.
When you look at all the new guys, how close is Curtis, his versatility and all that, to what you want? You've talked a lot in the last year and a half or so about the type of player you want. How close is he with that versatility and what he can do out there?
I want him to be a willing learner. I want him to, every single day, challenge the older guys to be better. And what you find is if he does that, he may catch him, pass him. Curtis Williams all summer played point guard, the whole summer. And when Tyler got eligible, I could see it on his face, and he said it. I'm glad I don't have to play point no more. I jumped him for that. I jumped him because I said it, a willing learner. I'm throwing something at you that you've never seen before. In high school, your coach told everybody throw you the ball and just let you shoot. I'm not doing that. That's not going to help you be the player that you need to be. I need you to be a willing learner. If I throw you at the point, coach, I got it. If I put you at the power forward, coach, I got it. That's the type of player I need him to be.
You had mentioned about players playing with the hunger. Who do you see doing that consistently? And also, is this team playing with a chip on the shoulder?
It's hard to say exactly that they're playing with a chip on their shoulder now. We hadn't played enough. There was emotions involved against Simmons where we were tentative. Consistently, I would say Scott Clark every day comes to work and goes hard. Trey White comes to work every day and goes hard. Mike James comes to work every day and goes hard. Dennis Evans comes to work every day. Body's hurting. I can't literally saying, I'm not going to go eat. I'm not going to hang out. I ain't going to the movies. I'm not going to the mall. I'm going to get into bed and ready for the next day. I know he's going to try to kill me. So I love that. I love that they're giving me what they have, and I'm asking for more, and then they're overcoming that barrier. That makes sense?
JJ had his best season last year. How has he grown since you've been here, and what's the next step for him?
To me, JJ, he got a lot better. He's more sure of himself. He made so many strides as a player. When I walked through these doors, and I tried not to remember this with him, but every mistake he made, he slumped his shoulders, his head was down, he had no belief. Some of this, we probably beat belief into him. But there are times now where he's dominant. The last practice we had, he was dominant. His energy was dominant. And then there's other times where he's floating. He's not giving the energy. I need to know why. I need to know, how do we get you being that dominant player you were last practice every single day of your life? If you're that, every NBA team will want you, every player, every organization in basketball wants players that are that athletic, that skilled, that play with a fire, that play with that kind of energy.
Kenny, you've talked a lot about Dennis. You've coached a lot of successful big men. Does he remind you of any of the successful ones, or is he that unique of a talent with his length and height?
He is. I've never coached anybody like Dennis, simply because his body, He's so long. His legs are pretty thin, to say the least. But he has ways about him that influence winning. The way he blocks shots, the way he's catching the ball and finishing around the basket, dunking everything that he can dunk. I've gotten hundreds of calls just off the 2 times that we've played where people have seen, saying, Kenny, he's gotten better. He's gotten a lot better. Well, 2 things with that. How was he before? And then he has really gotten better, and he's embraced getting better. I'm on the big guys about setting screens, and then I watch film, and his small frame is hitting people. And it's hurting him just as much as it's hurting the defender, but he's doing it. And then he's getting out and getting out of those screens and getting to the rim and catching lobs. I like that. And Dennis hasn't even touched the surface of how good he's going to be. We just got to continue to pour water on him and continue to let him grow.
Kenny, how much more aggressive is Mike James in this preseason compared to last, considering he was coming off of that Achilles injury last year?
Me and Mike James yesterday had the pleasure on the plane ride to Charlotte. We watched the game together. And I'm like, Mike, look at the way you're moving. Look at the way the guy back cut you and you was lost. Why weren't you alert seeing man and ball? Why you can't separate running the floor? His words, Coach, I was fat last year. I said, okay, I give you that. You was fat. But are you better now? Literally, I'm asking him, are you better now? I know he's better. I know he's more sure of himself. I know he feels more comfortable. I want to hear him say it. And so he was like, I'm not even the same player I was a year ago. I wasn't the same player from the beginning of the season to the middle of the season. I was much better at the end of the season last year. You were. I figured out that I needed to lose weight. That's why I came to you, Coach, and said, can you put me on a diet? And I said, no, I want you to stay fat. You're going to be my 2-guard playing the 4. So I posted Mike a lot last year because he's big and strong and can finish around the basket. Mike James is a joy to coach. Guys, when I tell you a joy to coach, a joy to coach. If I had 6, 7 guys like Mike James, regardless of position, you don't lose. I just need Mike to feel good about himself and play with extreme confidence. And whatever happens, happens.
Quick follow-up. How much weight did he lose?
I have no idea.
Turnovers were probably the biggest problem for you guys last year on offense. Other than changing personnel, what have you done? What can you do to get it down to a level where it's not a problem for you guys?
I think one thing is, last year we worked every single day on passing the basketball to each other. I think this year so far, our turnovers have been over-dribbling. Some of those turnovers we had during the season last year, you can't draw up. Dribbling the ball, and then all of a sudden nobody's around you and the ball goes out of bounds. You get an offensive rebound, you go up, nobody jumps with you, and the ball goes up straight in the air and you lose the ball. You throw the ball straight out of bounds and there's nobody there to receive the ball, nobody's there. Unforced turnovers cost us a lot. I would like to think that we are better. What I've seen so far, we are not the same type of team. But I still have a little scar tissue left from last year, and I'm not going to believe it until I see it.
Try to finish up so we do team photo. Go Brooks and then Jody.
Yeah, both Mike and JJ talked yesterday about just needing some time after last season ended, to leave campus and to just not think about basketball for a while. What did you see from them when they came back and hit the gym hard? Like Mike said, he needed maybe just 2 days back home before he was ready to get back in the gym. Like, what sort of just effort did you see from them from day one of coming back and trying to just build towards this year?
Well, when I mentally take myself back to the end of last season, and after the players decided and we decided who was coming back and who was leaving, I went to the strength coach and I went to the trainer and said, listen, whoever I bring in these doors, no matter who it is, this group that's here better be head and shoulders ahead of them. Conditioning-wise, strength-wise, knowing what we're doing in the weight room, they have to be ahead of them because I don't want these guys to come into an environment, new guys, where they are already on top. I want them to see that these guys work hard and that their bodies and their condition, they can handle whatever's thrown at them, and then they follow suit. If the new guys are the ones leading the pack straight out the gate, that's a problem.
Kenny, this guy was so good when he was younger, when you first started recruiting him back in the day. He's had some ups and downs. What does he still have of that? I mean, he's still got that talent, obviously. How have you seen him kind of grow, and maybe how do you get rid of some of the things in the past that have not been good in his game?
To me, Sky Clark is a very skilled basketball player that's a winning person. And what I mean by a winning person is he's who he is as his personality, his character. He cares about people. He cares about his teammates. There's been hundreds of players that he has relationships that have reached out to me. Some saying, man, I'm so glad you got Sky. Some saying, man, I want to come to Louisville and play with Sky. That's the personality he has. For Sky, in my opinion, and what I've talked to Sky about is whoever the naysayers are, I want you to prove them wrong. And how do you prove them wrong? Nobody's questioning that you're a good basketball player. I want you to prove them wrong, whatever. If they say that you're not tough enough, if they say through adversity you'll sort of shut down, whatever it is that they're saying, you have to prove them wrong. And we are going to prove them wrong together. You're not doing this by yourself. You won't ever feel like you're doing this by yourself. Now you're with a group of coaches, a team that's all centered around your success. And you're going to be about the team, and we're going to be about you. So that's sort of how I evaluate him.
Great. Thank you, Coach.
All right, guys.
Team photo, everybody, and then